Hi, and welcome to Stencil TV. You're here today with me, Mulibi Mapayane, the COO of Stencil Technologies. I'm joined by my partner and co-host, CEO of Stencil Technologies, Ohone Mutwahai. We're joined today by Senwelo Modise, the partner and head of technology and media and telecommunications for Bothlole Law Group. Today we're talking about the Data Privacy Act. I got a question here, right? So we're talking about having our keeping all this data. People always say, well, you need to store your data locally in Botswana.
Yeah.
Is this true or not? And what does it mean if I'm not storing stuff on the cloud? Am I now not in compliant?
I think, I don't know when we are going to deal with that confusion on storing data here or not. But I would keep reiterating, the point of data protection laws is not to hinder innovation, it's not to hinder the use of data, but just to protect the
disclosure.
individuals.
Just tell us what you're going to do.
Yes, to be transparent.
Yeah.
If you look at the Act, yes, there is that transferring data outside Botswana is prohibited.
Yeah, what is that
But
about?
It's the general rule. There is exceptions, which exceptions you could use to transfer data outside Botswana. The Act envisages that you will use things like the cloud, but if you do use them, you have to comply with, you have to pick a basis for doing so under the Act. It may be that you are transferring data to a country which the Commissioner has put on a list of countries with adequate safeguards. It may be that you are performing a contract. It may be that you have sought consent from the data subject to do so, but really there is a way. That's why you need to carry out a transfer impact assessment to see whether the transfer that you are doing complies with the law.
Is it good enough that it makes commercial sense for my business?
No, it's not good enough.
Seychelles
It's not good enough. You need to, is it compliant? Do you have a basis? It's just like this.
So that basis is not?
That basis is set out under Section 49. So you look at Section 49 to see what basis is there.
I see.
It's just like the GDPR. You're not going to reason that it makes commercial sense for me to keep data in the US. They're saying, are you using binding corporate rules?
Yeah.
Are you using your privacy shield at the time when the privacy shield was enforced? Are you using standard contractual clauses? So you have to specify what legal mechanism are you using to transfer this data. Because the legal mechanism will determine the extent to which you are giving protections.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So I hear your point about perhaps not going the clients, well, I suppose companies here not trying to go the route of being compliant necessarily with GDPR. But wouldn't you argue that it edges one ever so close to some level of compliance? To any, whether it's POPI or Botswana Act or whichever other one. I think wouldn't you argue that you're better off at 80% compliance to whatever act than at zero?
Yes. I understand that, but just going back a little, you comply with the law because it applies to you.
Yeah.
So in relation to the GDPR, say you comply to it if it actually applies to you, because there's a cost of compliance involved.
True.
Yes.
True.
So if you say that GDPR, but we do not see the GDPR in action, then it's a problem for you. It's a reputational issue even for you.
Yeah.
You are claiming something that is not the case. But yes, if you want to live up to the ethos of the GDPR, well and good, but it's going to increase your cost of complying with the Data Protection Act. Yes. So from what can I say? From a vision perspective as a company, it may be good. But the data protection also has its own protections, which you can say, I'm complying with. So I get the sense, yes. I get the sense of businesses saying we are compliant with the GDPR to give an indication that actually we are compliant with the Data Protection Act or PPA. But we tend to undermine the fact that there's differences. Our data protection act doesn't have extraterritorial jurisdiction. So if you say you are compliant with the GDPR, you are saying you are raising the bar high.
Yeah, there we go. That's
yes, you are saying you are raising the bar high, but on the flip side, why do you need to raise the bar high? Do the actual compliance. Don't claim. Comply. Don't virtue signal, because the GDPR is used to virtue signal something that actually up to scratch. But it makes it easy for you to suffer reputational damage because if someone comes and then asks you, but where is this that is in the GDPR? Where is your right to, for example, the GDPR has a right to data portability. We don't have it in our act. So if at all you tell me as a data subject that I comply with the GDPR and I say, give me my data in readable format, then you can't live up to it.
Thankfully, we can do that.
It's great. It's great that you want to give data subjects more. But now let's consider this. The GDPR has provisions on data protection by default and by design, which means you can't use dark patterns. So dark patterns is where, you were talking about cookies and someone saying yes, and making it easier for someone to say yes. If at all you are saying you're compliant with the GDPR and you have dark patterns on your website, what does that tell us? So that's why I'm saying sometimes you don't need to go far. You just need to say we are complying with the laws that we need to comply with. Let's take it this way. The UK or the EU has their own financial intelligence laws. Would you rather say we comply with the financial intelligence laws in the EU to try and demonstrate
and not necessarily be compliant
and not necessarily be compliant with fear here? It doesn't help you because the fine is coming. When the fine comes, the question is going to be, what did you say about GDPR? The GDPR has provisions like notify within 30 days. Notify the data subject. We don't have any obligation to notify data subjects.
Or do we not now? No,
you notify the commissioner. Not the subjects themselves. But
then who?
But how can we do it? But here's my question. Just before the critical question I can ask is, tomorrow, if I wanted to be compliant, could I?
If you have the processes, procedures, and policies in place.
So I could be.
Yes.
Even though there's no commissioners here.
The transition period is meant for you to get your house in order. So it's a period within which the act is in place, but you may not get a sanction if at all your things are not in order.
Tomorrow I can wake up and say, we're going to go through this process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't put this on camera. Let's go lose liable. We're going to go through this process, and we're going to bring ourselves to compliance. But there's not even like a badge or anything that I can put out.
You don't need a badge.
Do it.
You know, that's the thing with data protection as well.
You
see, badges give you a false sense of comfort that you are compliant. You can have it, but then you can be non-compliant even when you have it.
No, I mean, I get that, but I can't put it on. I don't have a logo. The commission doesn't have a logo that it's distributed to say. You
think about the many laws that you need to comply with. Do you get BRS and to say we actually submit our tax?
They do, They give you a tax clearance certificate.
But you don't put it on your. It's not a badge. It's a tax clearance certificate.
People ask for
the tax clearance certificate is a legal. It's based upon law. GDPR badges, data protection badges are not there in law. They are a thing of marketing. So you don't need to put any badge. Because the law does not say, like I said, tax clearance, PPADB code, it's in the law that we will give you this when you are compliant. But with data protection, the compliance really is in you being accountable. With documentation, with changing your culture, with training. You give it to yourself. You should be in a place where when the commissioner comes, you can say this. You should be in a place where you are actually protecting your data subjects, even your employees, because people miss that point, that employees are data subjects as well. So you need to be in a position where you can say that all my data subjects, well, first, I know where all my data is coming from. I know where all of it is processed. I give all of my data subjects rights. I give effect to all the data protection principles. When I have incident response enough to remediate a breach, before data subjects are harmed. When I transfer my data, I do it on the basis of the law. When I do any project that involves automated processing, I would have carried out the necessary assessment and notified the commissioner, because that's where you need to notify. If at all you're going to have a project that relies on
even as
automated processing.
Operation center.
Yes. I have a data protection representative that helps me. So those are really the questions you need to ask. Yes, maybe after you have answered those questions.
And if you change the purpose of, you inform the commissioner if you change the purpose of use?
No, not really. You inform yourself. You document that you have changed the purpose.
They don't need to know.
They don't need to know.
It's only when
Unless the purpose involves automated processing.
Everything involves automated processing.
Yes, then you made it. But it's important to keep your register of activities, of processing activities. And when something changes, change the register.
Do you see this getting to a point where the commissioner has the power to now get into things like procurement? like compliance for procurement purposes, like code 1331 for data protection?
I don't know if that's the direction would move, but maybe like let me get your question clearly.
Yeah.
So the question, so what I'm trying to get to is currently we have, say a code for cybersecurity with PPADB. If you're going to procure with government, you got to comply with these 4 points, and that's what gets you the code. So we might get to a point where we probably say, you know what, just to protect our citizenry, we need everyone who procures with government to be compliant with our Data Protection Act. And these are the things we're going to need them to be compliant with.
Well, I do definitely see in the future procurement requirements changing. Not necessarily setting up codes, but the procuring
just
is
leaning
telling
towards
you
some
that
sort of compliance.
Badges.
But I don't think it would be in the form of badges. Just say, for example, okay, we want a company to help us with marketing.
Right.
Yes, and if at all we want to see your policies on information technology, on information security, we want to see your data protection policy.
Oh yes.
That is the
Those documentation that you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's why I'm emphasizing documentation. We want to see how you respond to incidents, and we are also coming to do an assessment of whether actually you have these things. And the critical thing to manage that relationship is to have the data processing agreement in place. So I don't see it coming from the perspective of being badges as such, but maybe for industries in the EU, you may have like code of conduct where we're in the same industry, we're in the financial services. Let's have a code by the regulators in that industry to say this is what we need our licensees to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't see. I'm not sure if we are going to have codes per se anytime soon, but definitely internally things are going to change as to what is expected from all vendors, because the vendors may be processors or maybe joint controllers. So if at all we're joint controllers, it's in the interest of every company to take care of the liability. When the fine comes, you need to decide who's going to pay for it, and we need to decide where where things went wrong. So that's why you need to take care of the documentation more than the badge, because you may have the badge, but when now reality hits the ground, the question is, what is the contract saying? You missed the contract, the provisions in the contract, but you have the badge. So pay up.
Pay up.
So really it's just that. And you consider also who is giving the badge. Who's giving you the badge? Is it someone who's is it our act doesn't have certification giving agencies. In the GDPR they have a couple of those, but they don't give badges as such. They just tell you that, okay, fine, this company has complied and the like. So where the badge derives will also be a thing. That's why I'm saying, is it a thing that is set on law, or is it just another company that tells you, yeah, we can help you with compliance, and after we have helped you, we can give you a badge to say you are good.
But who are you to give me a badge?
Who are you to give me a badge?
I was going to say...
There's no magic pill to data protection compliance.
I worry about the extent of the liability associated to that.
Yeah.
So you're a Senwelo, you're a reputable lawyer in this space, and you've proven your mettle in it.
Yeah.
But another guy could come in tomorrow and sell himself to make me compliant.
Yes.
Right? And then 2 weeks later, a fine comes at my door.
Yes.
It's on my desk in my office. Whose liability is that?
Still you. Because
it's still
your
me.
Job. It's your job.
It's your job to get the right person to do it.
But there's no certification body that tells me this is the right person.
Yeah,
you see, I can go to ERB.
Yes.
Currently, if you tell me that you're an architect that can do structural engineer, whatnot, and I'll go to ERB and say, listen, have you guys vetted this guy? What I'm trying to say is there something has that been given some thinking?
I think
to weed out chances, if you like.
It's for us to consider that it's a professional service.
Yes.
Right? Even at ERB, there's a range of engineers. I think you as the client need to pick the engineer that you know will deal with your issue appropriately. But even in my space, there's lots of lawyers. What makes you decide that you want to pick me? Maybe my training in the area, maybe my experience in the area, but you're at liberty to go pick someone who doesn't have training and experience in the area. But then the challenge there may be that you may not get you may not get
might end
as
up in
much
jail.
value
Yeah,
as
exactly.
yeah. So
Exactly, you really could.
it's just like if you are going to court, you decide which lawyer you want to go to court
Yeah,
with.
and this guy just, this guy
it's
literally
your
drives
choice,
you
but
to,
really you would know that person
the
at least
locker.
is a lawyer,
Yeah.
or you know that person is an engineer. Even in your space, I pick which company I want to develop a software for me. But
Yeah.
if at all the person who's developing a software for me and within the software development life cycle doesn't take security into consideration, it's the data
It's on you.
controllers.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's on you.
yes.
I'm with you.
Yes.
No, look, it's been an absolutely riveting conversation.
Yeah.
We've gone over this quite a few ways and a few times. We could do this for a while, I think, right? So I think we're going to kind of close it out there.
Yeah.
But the key takeaways are that every organization has to be deliberate and is about compliance.
Yes.
And go through the steps of documentation and setting up and understanding what data they're keeping, why they're keeping it, and communicating it to their clients. Right? Is that a pretty good summary?
Yeah, I think it's there. I'll twist it and just say, be accountable.
Okay.
Yes, demonstrate compliance, and demonstrating compliance is in the setting up systems, the policies and the procedures and the processes that help you with compliance. And I would say do a lot of cultural change within organizations, because that's also going to be a difficult one, because people would confuse things like confidentiality and data protection. So sometimes someone will refuse with a data subject's information and say that it's confidential, but it's mine. Why are you denying me my own data? You also want to instill a culture where people understand the cost of harm to the individual when data is exposed. Really, it may be data as simple as the fact that someone is Stencil Technologies clients. So you want your employees to be aware, social engineering, educate, so that there is no weakest link. And then you also just want to be able to give effect to your data subject rights, properly inform. So the critical things are really be accountable. Make sure that there is data subject participation. So data subject participation is inform, give effect to rights. Ensure that your in-house staff is properly understands what data protection really is, and build a culture around safeguarding personal data in compliance with the law. But then also pay attention to what laws are applicable to you, because it is in the nature of data protection laws to apply to you even when they're elsewhere. Like the GDPR, like your Nigerian data protection regulation, also the POPIA. So ensure that you have a proper list of your processing activities and you have taken proper inventory of your data, so that you can make decisions. The processing activities, the inventory of your data is what will help you make a decision as to how you are going to go about your compliance. And then after you set up your compliance program, make sure you can assess it for maturity, make sure that you can audit it.
Regularly.
Yes, regularly.
Every 12 months.
And then make sure that you can respond to complaints that come from the data subjects, and you can respond to breaches, because your prompt response to both those two what can set you apart in terms of compliance.
Okay. No, great. Thank you, Senwelo.
Thank you.
You are
very
clearly
much.
an expert in this. And thank you, Ohone.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
No, except to say that thank you, Senwelo. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
I think what I'm getting from it, I think my takeaway from it is that the compliance is squarely on you as an organization to make sure that you're compliant. And the key way and the only way you're going to be able to do that is to get a legal person who can actually help you walk the journey, so that when information needs to be presented, you can put it on the table and show your compliance.
Yeah, do it.
But it's been great. It's been awesome. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank
we
you
will
very much.
definitely have you on again. Hey, if you're willing to come hang out with us anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for the coffee. It was beautiful.
Oh.
Yes.
Now we're gonna have a stream of people here tomorrow.
Yeah, for coffee. Oh, you're always welcome. All right. Well, that's Stencil TV for you today. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.